when it comes to how we perceive things in the real world, there are really sort of two big fields that help us to see 3D. And the one is perspective and the other is light, right? And light is really where we're going to focus on is our concern when we're talking about character coloring and character painting. And one of the most important things we want to always keep in mind is that as human beings, we see shadows first and then we see the light. So that means we determine the three-dimensionality of an object by its shadows. Now that seems kind of weird because you're like, well, you need light to see things. That is, of course, obviously true. But the shadows that form, the form shadows, in fact, as they're called, help us to understand and distinguish what is in front, what is behind, what is around, what is turning, what is square, so on and so forth. So we see shadows first and then light. And so shadows are what essentially help us to understand 3D forms. And this gives rise to something called the two-value statement or two-value form lighting. And we'll get into that in a bit. But for now, let's take a look at this example image on the left. We have this girl leaning against a wall or window with her cell phone. And what we're going to do is first, we're going to just break that image down into just plain value. And we can see there's a nice value split. Her jeans are different from her shirt's different from her jacket, her hair is different from her skin, etc., etc. And even in the scene, we can see various different values. All right, and you can see how bright her shoe value is compared to pretty much the rest of the scene, barring the sky. And what we can do is we can simplify the values even further to maybe just 2 or 3 values. And we get something along the lines of this. Right, where we can still really understand what's happening in the scene. You can see a girl standing, she's wearing jeans, got sneakers, she's got a phone or something in her hands. We can see her face, we can see her hair, we can see the buildings, we can see the sky. And as you can see, everything is still fundamentally understandable. And so we've broken down that vastness of complexity into really just 2 or 3 values. And what we're left with at the end of the day really is light and shadow. And we're able to distinguish the forms by those shadows. All right. And so here we see a good example of the two-value statement. There are around 3 values in this image, but nevertheless, the principle of having light and shadow applies. I've painted this simple cube over here. It's just got 2 planes, the front and the side of the cube. And we can see, especially when you look at the thumbnail view, that we could easily perceive this as a 3D form. Yet we've only used 2 values. All right. And so the two-value statement or two-value form lighting leads us to a fundamental principle when it comes to how we want to color / paint our works. And what this is really that we want our shadows and our light to read clearly, right? And what that means is that just the 2 basic values of shadow and light should make the object look 3-dimensional. All right. We should be able to achieve a 3D look with just 2 flat values. Okay. That's not to say that we're going to be starting any kind of workflow just using 2 values. No, that doesn't make sense. Although you can certainly practice that and you'll have practice assignments on that. But it's to have that key understanding that if you're painting something or you're coloring something, you think to yourself, well, this looks really flat, and perhaps your intention is for it to look very 3D. Then you need to ask yourself, apart from all the other complexities that you're busy dealing with on that particular area of the painting or the coloring section of your drawing, have I got the 2 values down right? Do the 2 values read clearly? All right. And so, as we will learn as we move through the course, shadows become a very big concern for us. Both form shadows and ambient occlusion shadows, which you will learn about, because these are essential to creating a 3D look. And to end off this lesson, I just want to say again that a strong read of light and dark, light and shadow, is all that is needed for a strong form foundation. Hope this has been useful, and I'll see you in the next lesson.